So they actually took that piece of rope and they tossed it into the pig pen behind their hale. And they continued on with their day. And later on that afternoon, Uli, which is Kana's grandmother, she comes down from her forest where she lives, which is Pali Uli, and she's calling out to the hale and calling out to her children who had just given birth to Kana. And they direct her to the pig pen. And she goes to the pig pen and she finds this piece of rope. And she picks up the piece of the rope and she actually cradles it and cares for it as if it is a child, because it is a child. And she begins to chant to it. Basically, it's mana, the mana of this child, of this supernatural birth, and how important he is. And she chants about his birth. Uli does for Kana, yeah? She lifts him up. She pulls him out of the pig pen. She gives him a name. She tells him all the magical things that he's going to be able to do someday. She gives him that oomph of potential and mana. And Uli is raised in this beautiful umbrella of love. No matter what he does, no matter how strange he looks, no matter how often she got to build the house bigger and longer and bigger and longer, he is loved. Beyond all things, he is loved by his grandmother, Uli. Well, in his time growing up in the forest, eventually he's now a larger man, basically a giant, yeah? And all he knows is Uli and that forest, Pali Uli, and this important sacred relationship that they have as grandson and grandmother. And one day he hears a cry from the beach, and he's never heard a cry from the beach before that's actually caught his attention. So down Makaiward, Hilo One, he hears the whole village of people kind of outbursting and crying and yelling, screaming for help. So he runs down to the beach, and he actually runs into his brother, his younger brother, Niheu. And Niheu is super talented as well, but he's kind of short, and he's kind of thick, and he's kind of hairy. And he has this super cool hairdo, where he ties his hair on the top of his head, and all of the mana in Niheu is here in his hair. And he has hair all over his body, okay? And Niheu sees him, and he tells Kana that their mother has been taken away. Basically, that day, there was this beautiful surf rolling into Hiloone, and his mother, Hina, is out there on the surfboard, and out of the water appears this beautiful hill called Haupu from Molokai. And on top of that hill is a chief, Kape'ekawila, and Kape'ekawila basically woos Hina and steals her onto this floating island by Mokuola, and then they take off, and they disappear back to Molokai. So everybody is just screaming and yelling, and Hakulanileo, which is Kana's father and Hina's husband, he's very distraught. He doesn't know how to deal with it. This is a younger audience, so I'm going to not tell all my thoughts about that. But anyway, he's very distraught, doesn't know how to deal with it, and he basically kind of gives up. He's sitting in the sand, and he's just like, tells Niheu, my son, help me find your mother. Help me find your mother. And Niheu tells him there's no way that we can do it ourselves. We need Kana. But when you go to Kana and you ask Kana for help, you need to make sure that you look at him in the eye. And you don't turn around and run away from him because he's so huge and different looking. Yeah? He said, happened to Hina. Kape'ekawila came and stole Hina, your mother, from me. Please go and help me get her. And so Kana agrees, I'll go. But go and make sure that there's a canoe for me at the shoreline when I come down. And I'm ready to go. Oh, he comes down to Hiloone, and there's a large canoe that was just put together for him, sitting on the beach, just kind of waiting. Hakulanileo goes up into the forest, and he probably has to say sorry a few times before he talks to her, because this is the son that help. He's Kana's help, so he's approaching Uli, and he tells her what happened, and she says, yes, I know. She's totally in tune to what's going on. She totally knows what's going on. She tells all the men they got to come up. They come up in the morning to see Uli, And they ask Uli where the canoe is, and she tells them to look down on the floor of the forest. And so they're all looking down, and she's like, grab hold of the vines that you see on the forest floor. And they grab it, and she tells them to start pulling. So they're pulling and pulling on the forest floor, and eventually out of the forest floor emerges this canoe. And it's like coming out of the ground, and vines are snapping, and trees are coming out of their roots, and everything is just kind of in chaos. And as that's happening, she chants to it. Ki kava iko kupuna vahine yaho anui kamapu yaho anui va alau yaho anui vili vili va yaho anui ki kava. She continues to chant this very long, very detailed chant about every single part of the canoe, and every name, and every kupuna, and every akua and aumakua, and exactly where they sit on this beautiful canoe. And they keep pulling and pulling all the way down to Hilo'one, and they're still pulling, and the canoe is still coming out of the forest ground. And by the time they get there, this canoe is the biggest canoe that anybody's ever seen. And it's floating there, the beach there at Hilo'one. Kana comes, he steps on the canoe, and what do you think happens? It floats. It doesn't sink. Good job, Hannah. It doesn't sink. And he gets on top of it, and he tells his brother Nihil, you need to come with me. And Nihil's like, okay. He comes with his fancy hairdo, jumps on the canoe, and they sail across the Molokai. And as they're sailing over to Molokai, they encounter a couple different things. A big swordfish comes and tries to knock them off of the canoe. That's one thing. And then these birds come, and they're trying to attack them and try to get them to slow down and not get to Molokai, because Kapea Kauila had a very powerful kahuna there that was ensuring that, or trying to ensure, Kana and Nihil, and they realized that Nihil's mana is where? You guys remember? His hair. So they grab his hair, and they're pulling on his hair, and Nihil's like, I don't know what to do. He can't get him off of them. He's totally freaking out because they're touching his hair. It's like when somebody is like, you know, kind of tickling you in the wrong spot. Yeah, he can't handle. So he can't handle, can't focus. Eventually, Kana gets him to go away. Approach Haupu, this beautiful hill, the backside of Molokai, north end of Molokai. And as they're sailing up to it, me. And then when we land in Molokai, carry me off. So when they get there, he does that. He comes out of the mat secretly because he's rolled up all tightly into the mat. And then he starts to kind of figure out who's he gonna battle there. He realizes that Haupu is growing. As he's standing there at the base of Haupu, it's getting taller and taller and taller and taller. And he looks out into the ocean, and Haupu is actually a massive turtle. And the turtle is coming out of the ocean. It's using all of its flippers, all of its power. Have you ever rode a turtle? Have you ever hung onto a turtle? It's very powerful, yeah. Don't do it. It's illegal, actually. Yeah, that's right. Don't do that. Yeah, so it's powerful, coming out of the water and rising and lifting and lifting. And as it's lifting, the mother's getting further and further and further up into the sky. Yeah, and Kana's thinking, how am I gonna get this turtle? I gotta get my mom. She keeps going up higher. What am I gonna do? Remember that chant that his grandmother chanted to him when he was really young about all the different stretching bodies he had, all of his kinolau? Well, he starts to stretch. He gets taller and taller and taller and taller. And every time Haupu goes up, Kana goes up. Haupu goes up, Kana goes up. And he gets taller and taller and taller and taller. And he shouts down to his brother, hold the canoe, 1 foot on the canoe, 1 foot on top of the island. And he gets taller and taller and taller. And eventually he's so tall. The top of Haupu is in the clouds already. Kana is so tall, he stretched out so thin. He's as thin as spiderweb. And a big wind comes through, and he starts to move like this. You ever seen a spiderweb in the wind? He's moving like this, and he's trying to put his hand on top of the island so he can grab his mother, and he's floating in the sky like this. The wind's getting stronger, and all of it. And he lands at the doorstep of his grandmother's hale. And when his head falls down, it falls down right in her lap. And she looks at him, and she chants to him this beautiful chant that she gave him from the day he was born. And she begins to feed him all of his favorite foods. And slowly he gets stronger and stronger and stronger, and that spiderweb becomes tight and strong and thick like a rope. And that's after the strength of the turtle is in the fins. cut the fins off and you'll get your mother. So he boings up and he shouts down to Niheu, cut the fins of Haupu, and then we can go home with our mother Hina. So Niheu gets out his big hair, fancy hair, and he's using his hair whoosh, 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 across all the fins of the turtle, and eventually the turtle slowly starts to come down. Haupu is no longer big anymore. Kana grabs the mother, who actually doesn't want to leave, so it's kind of a really confusing part of the story, but he grabs her anyway, puts her on top of the va'a, and they sail home to Hilo, deliver Hina to the mother, Hakalanileo, or to the father, Hakalanileo, and the story continues on where Kana has now been recognized by his family as as a very significant person in their ohana. Yeah, he has this amazing power to be a rope, to be a short rope, to be a long rope, to be a bundle of rope, and that's Kana. The whole idea behind Kana is that he has flexibility, and in flexibility there is strength. Yeah. Flexibility, there's strength. Kana is also about memory. So when you coil this rope, what have you learned about the rope when you coil it? What have you learned about this rope when you coil it? Does it know what to do? Huh? It knows what to do. If you don't allow it to do what it knows what to do, then what does it look like? Does it look nice or does it look ugly? Looks ugly, yeah? So the rope has memory. So there's strength in memory. There's strength in knowing your powers. That's what Kana is all about. So we use the rope. Rope for us as a people, as indigenous people all over the world, the wealth of yourself and your family is actually weighed by the amount of rope that you have. Think about that. Why would that be important? Why would rope determine your wealth? Yeah.
Because you use rope for like everything.
Use rope for everything. Yeah. If there wasn't metal, what would be holding this hale together? Kaula. Yeah. If we needed to eat fish tonight or tomorrow, well, what would we make that fishing line with or that net with? Kaula. If we had to sail from this island to Maui, how would we lash that canoe together? How would we carve that canoe? How would we carve that canoe? With a koi. How would we lash the stone to the wood for the koi? Kaula. Yeah? If I had to save my family and leave an island where maybe there was war, no resources, or lack of water, I'd have to get on a voyaging canoe, right? I have to sail far, far away. What held that canoe together? Kaula. So kaula, rope, kana, is very important. Yeah? It is the strength of our people. It's flexible. It has memory. It's strong. Very important. And it's very interesting that that becomes the name of the akua that Malama is called the rope, and all of those things that stretch and can become elongated. Yeah? That's all kana. Now, kana is also a shorter version of very, very important. He can also go deep. Yeah? And that's important about kanaloa. Kanaloa is the depths. It's your ability to dream. It's the ability for you to stretch past. You know, you're told your whole life, you're only going to be this. Are you going to believe them? Are you just going to be a small little piece of rope? No, you're not. You're going to stretch beyond that. You're going to dream beyond that. That's what Kana is about. It's the same thing as kanaloa. Yeah? It's the depths. It's the darkness. It's your dreams of obscurity. It's all of your potential. That's what it's all about. So when you guys are playing with your kaula, what's this kaula? Love me. Love me. Know that this kaula, oh my goodness, what did you do? That this kaula, this kaula, just like that little piece of kaula that was thrown into the pig pen, discarded in the pig pen, this is life. This is life. Yeah? Kakali. One of my kupuna, Anakala Edika Anana, he would call this aho. Everybody say that? Aho. And the word aho or aholoa means long breath. Yeah? And if you have a long breath, what does that mean? What do you think that means to wish somebody a long breath? That way you have a long life. Yeah? So when you have these kaula, know that they may have come off a spool, they may have been made in China. I'm not too sure where this was made. Yeah. But that it still represents that potential of life. Just like that little piece of Kana thrown away. What if Uli never come and took care of Kana? We wouldn't even know him. Yeah? So a couple of things to take home today. Yeah? Who is your Uli? What is your potential? What are you going to stretch past? What are you going to take deep into your dream state, into your dreamscape? Okay? Potential of life, right here. Okay? So malama your kaula. Know that it's very important. Of course, traditionally, kaula was made out of different natural fibers. And if you look at all the plants that kaula was made out of, including this milo right here, they all are body forms of Kana. Yeah? Because they have ability to stretch and grow beyond construct. Okay? So traditionally, it would be made on your leg. Yeah? And all of that mana of that person would go into that kaula. Yeah? We are very lucky. We have some aha, which is actually the new rope made by Papa Mao. Do you know how big deal that is? That's a big deal, that. Really, really big deal. Yeah? That to us, when we bring out that aha that Papa Mao made, that's our akua. Yeah? That's the potential of each of us. That may we become like him, the ihupani, the ho'okeleva'a. Yeah? That we may have that particular potential. Because when he was young, his grandfather saw that in him. That's why he was the best navigator, is the best navigator. Okay? So malama your kaula, know who it is, like Uncle said. Know who it is, not necessarily what it is, but who it is. And every time you engage with it, know that the kaula has memory because it's generations beyond now. Yeah? And how you malama your kaula, how you take care of your kaula now, is how the next generation will, and the next generation, and therefore, forever, never, never, never. Okay? Any questions? Okay. Huh? Huh? Who is your uli? I forget what I said. What is your potential? Who is your dream? What is your dream? Yeah.
What do you want to stretch?
Yeah. Yeah. What will you stretch past? It's important when we listen.